Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this bombshell of a headline for you today. As oh my goodness, we may be seeing the initial catalyst that'll make the world in the crypto space notice that XRP is the correct solution for the planet. Now let me explain. Right here, we have this from Asia markets stating Swift payments is cutting access to crypto exchanges. Oh boy, what does this mean? Now, first and foremost, what you need to understand is this will be for transactions totaling over 100,000 US dollars starting February 1st. And the types of exchanges that will be affected will be Bitstamp, BitHum, Binance, eToro, Huobi, Kraken, Nexo, OKX, and others. But specifically for Signature Bank. Now, what does that mean? What that means is most people will not be negatively affected by this unless, and this is important, unless this is only the first domino to fall. You see, something that I do every single day is try and project into the future based on information that comes out in the present. Because typically, when something like this happens, it could become a trend. And if it does, oh man, that would be horrendous for retail investors. You see, something you all need to understand is Binance, they took down FTX. CZ took down Sam Bankman-Fried. And FTX, which was the establishment in the United States political arm for money laundering in the crypto space through Ukraine. You don't believe it? The paper trail's there. But let's rewind real quick. Let me take you back to yesterday, where I let all of you know that Bank of America was glitching. Customers were panicking over the appearance of missing funds. First, they're making it seem like people's accounts are being drained. Now, Swift is cutting off access for some exchanges, specifically through a bank. What were to happen if this were to continue? You see, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things are going on in the world right now. All of these things are things I've been discussing on my channel every single day for 4 years now. The replacement of the SWIFT system would prevent all these different sanctions from crypto exchanges. Or at the very least, it will give some of these specific jurisdictions less power. The US dollar dominance on the global stage has been a problem for a lot of different countries. And we need to understand that the catalyst happening internationally, specifically through Saudi Arabia and the digital yuan, is happening now to surpass the US petrodollar system. The Saudis are confirming a non-dollar oil trade plan in Davos. Saudi Arabia was recently making deals with China to accept the yuan for oil, and that needs to be understood thoroughly. US dollar dominance is going out the window. The SWIFT system is going to go out the window with it. In will come a runway for XRP adoption, as this case is supposed to reach a decision or settlement. And as we're about to reach the climax of this global financial crisis, they're prepping our minds for bank bail-ins as well. And don't just listen to me say it. It's being discussed in numerous different circles.
Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, they're starting to move their entire economy. Russia is now backing their ruble with oil. So it's like it's like a petrodollar. Oh, that'll never work. Oh, wait a minute, that's what we did. Until Saudi Arabia said, yeah, we're going to accept anything. Really, Chinese can pay us in the yuan. We're fine with that. We'll take a ruble. Whatever. What does it mean? Why have we not discussed? What does it mean with the death of the petrodollar? It means that half the world, the part of the world that's not with us, is no longer required to hold a dollar, a US dollar. What happens when half the world's countries say, oh, we don't need the dollar? They begin to sell them. They already are. And if they're sold, what happens? They go out in the system instead of in a bank, which does what? Too many dollars in the system chasing too few goods, inflation goes up. So what do? You raise interest rates. Well, the problem now is, as we are seeing the death of the petrodollar, you're also seeing the Fed in a very unusual place. Raising even another half point is spooking everybody who pays attention to this stuff. The Fed has to raise interest rates to get inflation under control. But when they do that, this is how they control inflation. They take more money from you, they slow your spending down, and so that causes you not to go chase those goods with the dollar, okay? And then they're supposed to take those dollars in interest that they get, take them back into the Fed and destroy them so there's not too many dollars. So the first step on this road is to hurt you and your bank account and your ability to buy things.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys understood what Glenn Beck just said. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have been planning for an alternative currency and an alternative financial system to the US dollar SWIFT system. And here we have Saudi Arabia joining the BRICS nations, Argentina looking to join the BRICS nations, and Brazil and Argentina are discussing common currency. Every single international domino you need to see fall in order for you to see the petrodollar system fall is happening, and you guys think it's still a question. SWIFT is collapsing. The crypto space, specifically retail investors, could be in for a bumpy storm if these $100,000 deposit limits on exchanges trickles to every single bank that's part of the SWIFT system. Do you understand that they're trying to get retail out? Do you understand that regulations are going to be bad for retail investors only? Do you understand that they want to annihilate you financially? They want you in the currencies. They want you out of crypto. They want you to be poor. I want you to be rich. The only ways you could do this is by protecting your crypto on your offline hardware wallets. Get your damn crypto off the exchanges. And understand the devaluation of currencies and the collapse of the US dollar is accelerating every single day. Not only that, but your wealth is being systematically extracted. Inflation is there to rob you. Death by 1,000 cuts. It is the illusion of all illusions. Let's prop up the system, and then let's collapse it with the raising of interest rates. You see, the Fed is looking to only raise interest rates at a milder rate. 25 to 50 basis point rate hike coming very soon in February. Oh, let's see how that goes. Because something else that's happening is that the US hit the debt ceiling. They're going to raise that debt ceiling because there are no other options. Meaning, inflation is not over. The illusion of them taming inflation is the only thing they could give us. Eggs are up 500%. Potatoes 260%. Cilantro, spices, onions, oil, paper products up 100 to 200% across the board. And they want to lie to you and say inflation's only at 6 to 7%. Middle fingers in the air to the establishment, my friends. I'm just tired of being lied to. Not only are they destroying your wealth with inflation, Not only are they trying to prevent you from getting more money into crypto before prices continue to rise, not only did they try to dissuade the XRP army from investing in this digital asset with the SEC lawsuit, but here they are, preparing bank bail-ins to literally steal from you. Here, I'm going to play a clip from the Black Swan Capitalist discussing these bail-ins and how they're going to go down.
They're not going to bail out the banks. They're going to actually do a bail-in. This actually was passed into the law in 2017.
Can you explain what a bail-in is?
Sure. So it's a complete lockup when there's not enough liquidity in the financial system for people to make withdrawals and from the banks, and they no longer can get people their money. And when that happens, the banks are going to bail in the customers their money from their accounts to balance out that debt that's already owed. So this happens because the bankers and the institutions got greedy, of course. They had massive leverage. This is what we saw with FTX, the same thing. But imagine on a global scale, because the dollar, again, is a unit of debt. When this happens, you're going to start to see the banks freeze, the bank lockup. That's the ICE 9 scenario Jim Rickers talked about. David Morgan, we just put an interview out with him yesterday, came out today, and he kind of dives deep into this, but he's an expert on this stuff, and he made it abundantly clear that there will be a bail for sure. And I can see it easily happening because there's too much leverage, there's too much debt. They don't want to cut spending. They don't want to raise taxes publicly, so they're doing it also through inflation, which is also cutting the dollar's buying power. So it all ties in together.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was the Black Swan Capitalist tying in something I've been discussing on this channel for a long time. Bank bail-ins, interest rate hikes, eventual rate cuts, and a quantitative easing again. Every single time the Fed pivots, a massive recession follows. They've been quickly raising rates to try and tame inflation. But they're going to raise rates and go overboard. When they go overboard in short order, we're going to see a massive financial crash, and it's going to be quick. We need a financial crisis for XRP to thrive. We also need a settlement or decision in this case to see XRP thrive as well. But what's important for all of you to note is we're at the end of the road. The system is failing. The indications are there. SWIFT, BRICS, China, the Saudis, Russia, Ukraine, the SEC. And something interesting that I saw in that docu-series about Bernie Madoff on Netflix was a specific quote from the last episode discussing how if the SEC is going forward to do an enforcement investigation, instead of it having the effect of uncovering fraud, you actually do the opposite and give the fraud credibility by showing that they investigated but made it through okay. This is what happened with Bernie Madoff. The SEC investigated him, and then it looked like he was all in the clear. Incompetence by the SEC perpetuated a Ponzi scheme, just like incompetence by Gary Gensler caused the FTX debacle to happen at a much bigger scale as he was taking meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried. But at the exact same time, he's over here discrediting Ripple in the biggest regard with this lawsuit. We haven't been able to really build because of the lawsuit in the United States. But this is something Brad Garlinghouse stated a little while ago that needs to let all of you know you should be extremely confident. Ripple and XRP are international and outside the United States. All systems are go.
Most people outside the United States don't really care that the SEC is suing us. I'll tell you a very quick, funny story. I'll keep it short. I was in the Middle East last fall, and we were meeting with customers. I have one of the Ripple team members who's based there. It's really early in the morning. My time zones are all screwed up. We're meeting with the CEO of a payments company, and but the employee from Team Ripple says, "Well, why don't you give an update on what's going on at Ripple?" And I start talking about the SEC. And after the meeting, he very delicately says to me, no one gives a shit. And his point was, if you're not in the United States, the governments in Abu Dhabi, governments in Switzerland, Singapore, UK, Japan, they provided the clarity how they view and categorize digital assets, and they don't care that the United States SEC has a viewpoint that is, pending in court.
And ladies and gentlemen, that right there is what you need to take out of this video. Internationally, nobody gives a shit about what's going on in the United States. I don't give a shit about Swift cutting out crypto exchanges because I own the digital asset that I believe will replace Swift's infrastructure. The entire world doesn't give a shit about the US petrodollar system. They're pivoting. And something we, as the XRP community, need to begin understanding is XRP is going to be essential in moving the new Petro One, in moving the Petro Ruble, in moving the new Brazil Argentina currency, the new BRICS nations currency, the new CBDCs, gold, silver, oil, stocks, commodities, and all the value on the planet. Too many people don't know what they own. And if you didn't know before, I hope you learned today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.